So let's talk about TikTok, because this is an interesting one for me. So TikTok as the new hyped social media platform that is quite different, right? It's got a different feeling and experience than, I mean, similar in some ways, but definitely quite different from like Twitter and Instagram. I spent some time looking at it. Maybe it's like a year ago now, when it first started to get hyped up. And there were very few people doing game dev related stuff on it. I actually did some like little experiments of posting some videos and stuff and got some little attention. But the thing that I noticed with it that I found frustrating is that it doesn't have, and I'm like kind of YouTube biased, like YouTube is like my favorite platform, but like it doesn't have that effect that YouTube has of things, this long tail and things living and surviving and build a catalog of videos and they just get views and kind of you building this base of assets that is going to keep drawing traffic. TikTok, I would get like 300 views on something. I was like, whoa, 300 views in 15 minutes or whatever. I was like, this is great. And then it just was like, that was it,
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. But I do think for most people, this is going to be a really good thing in terms of like, we obviously look at all the platforms when they're hot for games and just look, is that realistic for most of our devs to pull off as an avenue?
Yeah.
I think TikTok could be one that could be quite important, like make it in the top platforms for games. I think the main reason for it is, especially YouTube and Instagram, is something that we see a lot of people asking about or trying. What I think is really difficult on those platforms is that they really incentivize with the algorithm regular posting. So on those, you really get more traction if you just post 3 times a week for a year. And that's usually quite steady growth. It's demanding, but it also pays off in the long run. And because it's demanding, there's less people that can pull it off.
Right.
So if that's the thing you want to do and you love YouTube and you all love Instagram, like by all means go for it, because there's less games on there. What's nice about TikTok, I think for more casual indie devs or some that just post here and there, more or less, whenever you put out a post, that post gets shown to like 100, 200 random people.
Yeah.
They just get it on their main feed. And if they like it, if they share it, if they comment, if they follow, that all gets tracked. And then if they like it a lot, it gets pushed. So kind of every post you do could go big or could not go big.
Yes. I think that's a very interesting one in terms of kind of, pulls on the slot machine, right? I actually haven't looked at it that recently, but at least when I was looking at it before, the production value is very low, right? It's all, right? It's like...
I mean, talking about, like, I love, like, if you ever look at our website, all our company presentation is purposely, like, a bit crappy looking, like, very MS Paint. I just love that style.
Yeah.
That's very TikTok.
Yes. Very
yeah,
internet, right? It's very, like, internet native. Yeah.
But it's way more difficult going to clients, making TikToks or going to people with design backgrounds, because they go like, oh, this is wrong. Like the font is really ugly and this starts in the middle of the video. And be like, no, it needs to be that.
Native to the platform. Yeah.
So I think a big part of being good at TikTok is just watching a lot of TikTok.
Right. I mean, like any platform, right? You have to live on the platform to speak in the native language. That was the thing that I hadn't thought about. Being somebody who's interested in this stuff, I researched kind of how the algorithm works, and they're like, okay, yeah, it gets shown to this many people. If it basically converts, it'll get another visibility round, and then if it converts in that visibility round, it'll get another, and anything that gets engagement will get pushed and pushed and pushed, and that's how it's got this crazy virality mechanic to it.
And I think like what you mentioned about the long tail, I think there's another version of it. How it kind of works is, I think whenever you have a big post, your follower count increases quite a bit. I think it's easier to get followers on TikTok than on other platforms. And once you hit that big post, it gets like 100,000 or 1 million views, then all your old videos suddenly get a bump because there's some people going back to it.
Clicking through to the page, going down and watching everything. Yeah.
So like every time you go viral, you see like throughout the page, everything goes up a little bit. But until you go viral next time, things just stagnate and there's not a lot of new traffic.
Yeah, and I think part of that problem was I was taking a YouTube perspective. I think I recorded 10 TikToks or something, and I was kind of thinking, okay, I've put 10 assets out there. Let me see over time. And then I realized they just fucking died. And I was like, oh man, I got to do this every day, you know? And that kind of turned me off a little bit. I do still want to re-engage with it, and I want to figure out, at least from my perspective, and also being like a video production person, I'm like, there's got to be a way to make a pipeline for this that is, you can do it effectively and not just be like literally sitting there with your phone all the time. Although maybe that's just the fastest, best way to do it.
That's definitely like different games. We do monitor a lot of games. I think there's maybe, I would say, 10 good indie gaming TikTok accounts at the moment that I know of. So it's not a huge amount. And they all have very different styles. Like some is direct gameplay, some film off the screen. I think there's not one set formula people are keen on.
Yeah.
It's more about finding it. And there's not even, at first I thought it's really important you just post loads.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't really make the difference. It's more like if you post 4 times a day, you have just a better chance of having a big post.
Yeah.
But that's about it. If you just...
you're just getting pulls on the slot machine and you just have more of them.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I would say like as tips, if somebody wants to look into it, something I think that's maybe counterintuitive and is something to keep in mind. One is like, you just need to say what your point is straight away. Like you've got 1 second. There's so many TikToks that just start with the topic on the thing. Yeah. It could be like you just write on that it says, this is how I animated the sword in my game.
Right.
They're already there and it stays there, and then you just see how you do it and then you test it. And I think the second metric that's quite important, but it's maybe quite TikTok specific, is that people should watch the whole thing or loop it maybe 2 times. So that's why short things are good, or things that like once you stop talking, you cut off. Like in the last scene, cut off. Like no outro, no like lose the sense a little bit.
Because you want it to loop. Yeah. No, I mean, this was the other thing that it's funny because I make a lot of like 12 and 15 minute YouTube videos of me talking, and I record these 90-minute podcasts, you know, like talking a little is not my strong point. And so I was doing, I forget I did, because what is it? It's either 15 seconds or 60 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So I did a couple of 15-second ones, and those did pretty okay. And I was like, oh, let me try this 1 minute thing, because then I can actually talk. Then I can actually say something, right? Those did terrible, right? Like nobody wants to watch a minute on a platform full of 15-second clips. So it's a really crazy format to try to author content for. I mean, what do you think? Is it really just like that little, almost like a GIF, like that visual moment of gameplay? Is it talking? Is it jokes or following the trends? Like, what do you think is for indie creators, is it something to look at?
I think it really, again, depends on the game. I think what is quite hot at the moment, maybe it's because the platform is not saturated yet. Like really good accounts is Volcanoids and Shotgun Farmers. They're brilliant.
Shotgun Farmers, I know Quasi. Yeah.
And that's my favorite account. And that's what we also see from other games working. It's just a bit like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
A TikTok audience is usually a bit younger. And there's just a lot of like, I don't know, like 12 to 20-year-old people that like games, think about games.
Yeah.
And they just want to like see a bit behind the scenes. They're like, oh, I know what achievements are, but I never thought that somebody would have to make them. And then you just have a TikTok which is like, I'm just writing my achievements. Like, how many points should I give that one? And then people can comment.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was when I was testing out making content. That was very much what I was doing but I think you have to know it's a younger audience, and they don't want to know about the crazy scriptable object architecture of your game, right? They don't know what that is. It's really just like, hey, I'm making a video game. Like, I'm putting in I'm doing the control scheme, you know, like stuff that is much more digestible to a much less initiated, just much less educated. It's not a game dev audience, really.